Watch out! NUTV interviews Geoffrey Desmoulin, the biomedical engineer behind the hit TV show Deadliest Warrior.
2010 Jazz Fest was cancelled, NUTV was there.
And we proudly unleashed one of the first interviews with our incoming University of Calgary president, Dr. Elizabeth Cannon.
Those stories and more on this edition of Full Frontal. I'm Haley Redpath.
And I'm Martha Affleck. Now into its second season, Spike TV's The Deadliest Warrior is a show loved by many testosterone-fueled men. Justin Harjo-Riogo, the closet fan, had a chat with one of the brains behind the show. He found out that not only does Geoffrey Desmoulin stand behind the science of the show, but actually loves all the bone-crunching action.
3, 2, 1, go!
There's a good chance that if you're a guy who watches cable TV, you've seen The Deadliest Warrior. Spike TV's hit show gathers information on ancient and modern warrior groups, such as Vikings, ninjas, Spartans, samurai, and SWAT team members. Two groups are pitted against one another, then data is compiled and tests are run on their weapons to determine which of them is the deadliest. Geoffrey Desmoulin is one of the show's technical consultants, a biomedical engineer. He's also a PhD candidate at the University of Calgary, a trained EMT, and of course, a combat aficionado. In the middle of a training course in Calgary with Modus Concepts, a private military and security consulting firm, Desmoulin explained his background in combatives and the military.
I started martial arts when I was 13 years old. I wanted to kind of get into an Olympic sport, and at that point in time, karate was not an Olympic sport. So I got into a sport called biathlon, which is cross-country skiing and shooting, and that lends itself very well to military. And in fact, while I was racing as a civilian, the military came to me and said, hey, would you like to race for the military? We'll give you an annual salary, we'll give you equipment, we'll give you, high-level training at the High Performance Center in Ottawa, we'll send you overseas.
It was while doing research in blast-induced brain injury at Wayne State University that Desmoulin was recruited for The Deadliest Warrior.
At that time, it was kind of the perfect timing when the showrunner for season 1 of Deadliest Warrior was looking around for a guy like me. They didn't know who they wanted, but they wanted a guy like me. He started calling around, and they knew that Wayne State had this reputation of doing injury-type research, and they said, why don't we give them a call? And immediately the chair of the department fingered me.
There's a fascination with combat weapons and war that fuels the popularity of The Deadliest Warrior. Desmoulin says that's not all.
With the gel torsos that we blow up and hack to death and things like this, that maintains that core Spike audience, but the little bit of history that we bring, the little bit of medicine, the little bit of science, the gadgets that I get to use on the show, Max's computer geek stuff, brings in people from ESPN, Discovery, all these other channels that wouldn't necessarily be watching Spike. And I think that's why it's as popular as it is. It's geek, violence, married, and that's attractive for a lot of guys.
While each episode of The Deadliest Warrior features a cinematized staging of battle and explicit weapons testing, Desmoulin stands by the science of the show.
At the end of the day, it's a TV show for entertainment, okay? But the truth of the matter is I'm a biomedical engineer, I'm almost finished my PhD, and I have to maintain a reputation and a scientific reputation. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do what I do in the court of law. So any concept, any number that I throw out on camera is real. That I guarantee.
With much of his background involving the treatment of injuries and saving lives, it's almost ironic that Desmoulin has such a deep fascination with combat. He puts it this way.
But the whole idea is that you got to understand the injury and then either develop a prevention or a new treatment. And for the combat stuff that I was working on, I wanted to understand how the brain got pressurized, how the brain gets injured during the explosion, and then perhaps start looking at different designs of helmets, maybe just adding a visor, maybe adding earplugs to prevent any ear damage, stuff like that. Or in fact come up with a drug that might prevent secondary damage once the explosions actually happened.
When you combine science and violence, the result is the Deadliest Warrior. Geoff Desmoulin is probably as good a person as there is to teach us a bit about both. For NUTV, I'm Justin Harjo-Wirogo.
Go! I think the SWAT team's going to have their work cut out for them.